where we live.
Breakfast with Andy Twigg.
BBC Radio Derby.
Fancy going on a bike ride? Are you going on this weekend? Are you? Well, a man from Derby is cycling all the way from Manchester to Derby today to raise money for charity. Stuart Moss is part of a team making the mammoth 100-kilometre bike ride, as well as raising funds for MND Association. It's about raising awareness for some amazing technology that he's developed with colleagues at Rolls-Royce, and we can have a chat with him now. Hopefully he's on the start line. Are you there?
I'm here. Yeah, we're not on the start line yet. We're nearly there, but yeah, we're working on it.
All right. What are you doing today then, Stuart?
So we're cycling back from. We're starting at the EE store in Manchester, and we're cycling back to Rolls-Royce in Derby.
Right. Tell everybody why you're doing it.
Well, the reason we're doing it is we've had a kind of a joint venture with lots of different companies over the last few years to develop new technologies for assisting people to be able to speak when they've got motor neuron disease and they lose their voice. And all of those technologies have been sort of developed in, if you like, the innovation labs and the back offices of these big corporations, but they've not really made it to the high street. And luckily, British Telecom, so BT, has taken up the challenge to put this into the high street by going through their EE stores. And the first EE store that's going to have these technologies available to people is Manchester. So we're starting at Manchester, and it just happens to be 100 kilometres, I should say, back to Rolls-Royce in Derby, where we started the whole kind of endeavour.
Tell us about this technology that you've been involved in creating then, Stuart.
Well, there's when you start to lose your voice, which is one of the, I suppose, the symptoms of motor neuron disease. Usually, at the point when you're diagnosed, you probably can still speak. So, an example of one of the technologies, there's multiple different ones that we've done, is something called voice banking. So, voice banking used to cost 2 or 3 years ago probably about £5,000 if you wanted to do it, and it would take you many months of recording various different phrases that, were kind of insignificant phrases, things like the cow jumped over the moon and red lorry, yellow lorry. What we've done is one of the examples is we've done a thing called I Will Always Be Me. So if anybody wants to do this, they just go to iwillalwaysbeme.com, and in about 20 minutes you can read a story to your friends and family, and when you've read that story you can save that as like an ebook that can be kept. But in that 20 minutes, you get a much better voice profile, so a digital synthetic version of your voice, that when you do lose your voice later on, you can use that with computers and other kind of assistive devices. So instead of sounding like Siri or Alexa or whatever, I bet I'm setting all people's systems off at home. But instead of sounding like a computerized voice, you would actually sound like yourself. And we've made that completely free, and you'll be able to pick that up from EE stores.
Is it something similar to Rob Burrow, the rugby player that has kept the accent?
Yes, it keeps your accent. It makes a digital version that sounds just like you. So you keep your character, which is why we called it I Will Always Be Me.
And you've got a personal connection to MND, haven't you?
Yeah. My father passed away from it in 2014 on Christmas Day.
And since then, that has been your charity of choice, is it?
Well, I suppose, the thing, this whole effort, which is what we call the NextGenThinkTank, which is this group of different companies that are related to IT technology, and it came from where I work at Rolls-Royce. We tend to outsource some of our IT capability to companies like Dell and Intel and Microsoft and all these different companies. And we said, why don't we just work together on a community project? And if it's my choice which one we're going to work on, I think we should do motor neuron disease. I mean, this is some 5 years after my dad had passed away, so not directly connected, but it seemed like a good thing to focus on.
Do you mind me asking about your dad? Tell me about your dad.
he was an amazing person. He used to, I'm a Derby guy, and he used to work on the railways and made quite a big jump in his career at one point. He used to be a coppersmith, and he was renowned for being able to talk to people. And so he later on in life became a social worker and specialised in mental health. And he said it was really the same skill set as working at the railway, which is about talking to people, having a cup of tea, and understanding their problems and trying to fix them. And so I suppose, if anything, he's kind of my compass in life, like moral compass in life, and if we could do one thing for people, giving them their ability to speak and talk to their loved ones, it'd be, a perfect thing in memory of him.
Well, good luck today, Stuart, you and the team. Which route are you taking?
The steep one.
The steep one?
Yeah.
Over the top.
Right over the top. We're getting the straight line, so it's the shortest distance, but it's pretty steep. So, we should hopefully be back in Derby for about 3:00.
3:00. And what are you going to do when you get there? You've surely not got to go to work today.
Not at 3:00. We'll probably be lying on the floor, I would have thought.
Yeah, or maybe nip in for a swift one. You'll have earned it. Good luck with it. Thank you so much for your time today. I don't think it's going to be quite as warm today, so you may not be. It's probably a good job it wasn't yesterday, because it was absolutely chucking it down. Stuart, it was absolutely not chucking it down. It was red hot. Stuart Moss there, cycling from Manchester to Derby for MND.